We're going to have to look at mass transit. That's going to allow, if we do something with mass transit, then we will be able to get people to the services if they're going to be consolidated into the Ukiah Valley.
Yeah.
And that's not unreasonable.
Right, right.
Why move the agencies and the buildings and the people out to the outlying areas when you can bring them easily to the Ukiah Valley?
If you can make it easy for them to get here, and not just one bus at 6:30 in the morning and one bus at 5:30 in the afternoon. I mean, it's got to be regular service from Fort Bragg to Ukiah.
But I bet if you and I sat down in a cost analysis of how much it costs to rent all those buildings and keep all those employees on the coast to do the services, or in Willits,
Right.
or to set up a system where people can be bussed in easily.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's very possible that would be cheaper. But there's some service you still have to have. I mean, you know, your homeless services, you know, things like that. I mean, those need to be there. The animal shelter needs to be there. Although I don't know that the animal shelter necessarily needs to be there. I mean, if you have some consolidation at the one here, although they just spent $100,000 improving the one over there, so I'm not sure that you really.
I think we're going to have to all look at consolidating, going back to a point where it's more centrally located, where things are more centrally located, a smaller scale. You know, I look at the employees, how many employees we had in the county when I came to the county versus how many we have now. 30 years.
Yeah. Well, it grows.
Well, it has grown, but has the population grown?
No.
I think when I came to the county, there was 80,000.
Yeah.
And now there's what, just under 90,000?
No, I agree with you. I think the first thing you do is you almost want to go to zero-based budgeting. You know, tell me what you do, and I'll tell you how much money I think you're going to get to go do that. Eliminate all the grants. I mean, people talk about, oh, grants help so much, but you know what? They cost more money. You know, I mean, it means having an employee there. Usually, it means keeping that employee on when the grant is over. I think you really have to talk about what are your core missions. What do you want? I mean, a lot of the people. I mean, granted, some of it is state mandated, but I think in times like this is a good opportunity for counties to turn around and say to the state, look, you know, you're not going to give us the money to do this anymore, so we need to say we're not going to do it. You know, and I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff in social services that needs to be done. I mean, you got to have, you know, child protective services and elder protective services, and you have to have foster programs and things like that. But I think in the health department, there's a lot of stuff that goes on that's very nice and wonderful to have. Is it absolutely necessary? I don't know. You know, I think there are grants in all of the agencies.
There are grants in all the agencies.
There are grants that are going on that maybe all very nice, but maybe we don't need them. You know, I think you have to get down and when you talk about how many people in the county access the services.
That's a very big station.
You know, how many of us are walking into social services, walking into the health department? Granted, they're usually the most vulnerable people in your community, so you want to make sure they get taken care of.
That's true.
But at the same time, you know, the average voter out there is not necessarily going to feel too sorry if some of these programs go away.
Well, and some of these programs too, it's not that they need to go away. I think people have got to start thinking out of the box. You've got to start, just because it's been done this way for 10, 20 years, doesn't mean that's the way you do it. We closed down the PUF unit in Mendocino County back in the 80s. Okay, but now we're paying how much to reserve beds in Napa County.
Oh, well, you know,
I heard the figure.
Closing the PUF was the worst mistake this county ever made.
But in reality, we have these places reserved.
Absolutely.
And we're paying for them whether there's Mendocino County citizens there or not. So there's got to be a different ways of doing this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You've got to start thinking out of the box, maybe bringing in some collaboration, and I hate to sound this, it could sound like a Republican, collaboration with nonprofits, you know, private and public working together.
You mean collaboration with for-profits?
Well, for-profits, but there are nonprofits groups too that they could collaborate with, for-profit and nonprofit both. You've got to do, you know, private and public collaboration.
Well, I think there are a lot of places out there doing the same things. I mean, I keep going back to the health department, but I think there are a lot of places where you have the Mendocino County Office of Education doing the same kind of parental training that Ukiah Unified might be doing a little of that. The public health department's doing some of that. I mean, those are places where I think You know, how many places do we have in the county that are teaching, you know, young girls about parenting? How
Right.
many places in the county are we teaching kids about not smoking or
Exactly.
drugs or
Or
alcohol
drugs.
and all
Right.
those kinds of
Exactly.
things? I mean, I'll bet you there are probably 5 to 10 to 15 different places all doing that.
Yep.
So those are the places where I think you really need to crack down and say, you know.
But again, you've got 5 people sitting at a table that are elected, and if they try to do anything drastic, they're going to get unelected.
Well, that's just it, though. I don't know how. I mean, I think the average voter is going to say, no, that makes sense. You know, by all means, find out. You know, if there's duplication of services here, why are we doing that?
If they do it, if they can come up with the good statistics to back it up. But I keep thinking, I go back to the Slavin study and how we went in to find out, are our people getting paid, you know, the right wage? And we did this whole big study, and I don't know how effective that was and how it was. I don't know if it was cost effective, but I know it cost the county a lot of money.
Well, because all the higher ups got a ton of dough, and everybody down on the line didn't get hardly anything.
Yeah, I guess one thing I did see that Paula Dieter had in one of her ads was that one of the things that she would do is that she'd start at the bottom and talk to people who are working at the tables with the customer or the clients.
Right.
And
the first line.
The
people.
first line into the county doors.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, they're the ones that see the inefficiency.
Right.
They know. You can go to them and say, now how would you do this better to save money? And she actually said she'd start there.
Yeah.
You don't go to the mid-management.
Right.
You go to the person that's right there dealing with it every day.
Oh, and I'm sure they've got